Teruvan Saranai. Everyone please sit comfortably and say sadhu in respect to Dhamma. So now before starting as preparation for the talk, I would like to invite all of you to close your eyes and stay calm for 3 minutes. Please close your eyes. Relax your body. Pay attention to sounds all around you. Then bring your attention to the body. Feel your body. Stay calm with it. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yang loke piya rupang sata rupang ette sa tanha uppajjamana uppajjati etta nivisamana nivisati. Wherever in the world there is something delightful and pleasurable, this is where this craving arises and gets established. That is the meaning of the stanza that Buddha has preached this. So, we are born into this world as kids and then we grow up and become youth. So, we are pretty new to this world. So, okay. So, there are so many things that we need to learn. There are so many things that we need to achieve. So we have dreams about our future. We look at the society and we see heroes, maybe actors, players, doctors, engineers and businessmen. we think if we become one of them, we will really be happy and complete, right? So, when I was young, I remember once when I saw another boy around the same age as mine was playing Lego. I was attracted to it. I wanted to have it. Then I started to dream about playing with it. That was all I wanted that time. I had a few other toys already, but this one, I thought, if my dad gonna buy this for me, I would not ask for anything else ever again. I believed that I would be complete once I have it. This was when I was very young. I thought I will enjoy it. Live with it, and I would not need anything else for my happiness ever again. So my dad bought it for me at a shop in my small town, and when I was so happy that I could not wait until I go home and start playing it. I thought I would enjoy it a whole day and night, and playing it, I would never be enough. Then I reached home and started playing it. It was not very long before when I felt I am enough. So then I left it behind, did some other things. Then again I felt like I wanted to play it, but this time not as intense feeling as it was the first time. I played it, but this time not as long as when it was the first time. I felt fed up soon. As time went on, I found that Lego was not very attractive anymore. It became just another toy among others. I didn't know what really happened. I didn't question it either. Maybe I didn't even notice it until I was in my mid-20s. So the same thing happened over and over again, not only for toys, but also for many other things. It was keep happening. So at age 16, I had to face the high school examination. Before the exam, I thought I'm going to be a happy person if I pass the exam with good results. I was quite happy when I got the result, but that happiness did not last either. shortly after that, another expectation came. I thought I am going to be a really successful and happy person if I entered university. I didn't realize that the same old thing keep happening. So you can see this is a circle, right? This is the same thing keep happening. We achieve something, then there's another expectation comes. So it seems like it never ends. So no matter what we achieve, we want something more. We want something new. So that is the flow of life, or we call it life. It is the impulsive nature of human beings that make us feel like we want something more. Buddha called it tanha, or we can call it unsatisfaction. Not satisfied with what you have and wanting to have something new in the future. Have you ever had to spend a day without having to do anything? Maybe one whole day? What it would be like? If you maybe cannot watch a TV, or you have nothing to do, you just stay at home, what you feel? You get bored, right? When you have nothing to do. So what's happening? That is the nature of unsatisfaction. When you have nothing to do, that means you achieve something. Maybe you work for something, then you achieve something. Once you achieve it, then you are satisfied with it. Then after some time, you cannot stay with it. You know, you want to achieve something new. You want to get something new. So this is a kind of a circle. It's never going to stop. No matter what you achieve, you need something more. So this is the nature of unsatisfaction. So you cannot take a rest. You can't rest because you want to get, like when you have nothing to do, you start to, this is the time to take a rest actually. When you have nothing to do, that is the time to take a rest. But when you can't stay with it, you can't rest because you want to get rid of this boredom. You feel bored, then you want to get rid of this boredom. You would do anything to get rid of it. Maybe play the phone, watch a movie, listen to a song, read a book, or maybe find someone to talk to. So this is the nature of tanha. It will not let you stay still. It asks you to do something new, achieve something more, always something more and more. If you have nothing to do, you can't stay with it. It is like going to lose your future or something like that. So this is a fundamental nature of human being. If you do not recognize it, you are going to be a victim of it. So behavior of this tanha, Buddha call it tanha, is a bit tricky. It is usually works as a trap. It usually promises you a lot but give you only a little. So let me elaborate on this using a simple story of a fisherman and a businessman. Maybe you have already heard this. This is a kind of famous story. There was once a businessman who was sitting by the beach of a small Brazilian village. As he sat, he saw a Brazilian fisherman rowing a small boat towards the shore, having caught quite a few big fish. The businessman was impressed and asked the fisherman, "How long does it take you to catch so many fish?" The fisherman replied, "Oh, just a short while." "Then why don't you stay longer at sea and catch even more?" The businessman was astonished. "This is enough to feed my whole family," the fisherman said. The businessman then asked, "So what do you do for the rest of the day?" The fisherman replied, "Well, I usually wake up early in the morning, go out to sea and catch a few fish, then go back and play with my kids in the afternoon. I take nap with my wife, and then the evening comes, I join my buddies in the village. We play guitar, sing and dance throughout the night." The businessman offered a suggestion to the fisherman. "I am a PhD in business management. I could help you to become a more successful person." So he said, "From now on, you should spend more time at sea and try to catch as many fish as possible. When you have saved enough money, you could buy a bigger boat and catch even more fish. Soon you will be able to afford to buy more boats. Set up your own company and your own production plant for canned food and distribution network. By then, you will have moved out of this village and to São Paulo, where you can set up headquarters to manage your other branches." The fisherman continues, "And after that?" The businessman laughed heartily. "After that, you can live like a king in your own house, and when the time is right, you can go public and float your shares in the stock exchange, and you will be rich." Then the fisherman asked, "And after that?" The businessman said, After that, you can finally retire. You can move to a house by the fishing village, wake up early in the morning, catch a few fish, then return home to play with kids, have a nice afternoon nap with your wife, and when evening comes, you can join your buddies, play the guitar, sing and dance throughout the night. Then the fisherman was puzzled. Isn't that what I am doing now? He asked. So this is how tanha operates in tricky manner. So anyway, is tanha something very bad? Is it really bad? You can use it to grow up in your life if you recognize it and use it skillfully. So tanha is not always bad. However, if you can use it, with wisdom, or you can manage it. However, if you do not recognize it and become a victim of it, it is going to haunt you for the rest of your life. You don't know, you will be, like, it operates like circles. So it can lead you to cheat someone else, rob someone else, hurt someone, or kill animals, consume drugs and alcohol, sexual misconduct, or be addicted to games and high technologies. So all these things are very attractive. It can lead you to waste your life. If you recognize tanha and understand its nature, then you can use it cautiously to achieve more useful and valuable goals in your life. If you practice it further, like, you can even go beyond tanha, but you will have to start with a goal, or you have to start with tanha. You have to use it skillfully. So suppose, okay, this is just a simple example. Suppose you have an ice cream. Now you have tanha to taste it. Instead of satisfying this tanha, you can replace it with a better tanha, which is to share your ice cream with someone else and enjoy the pleasure of generosity. This is a very simple example. You may not do it always, but of course you can try it sometimes and see how it works. So this is something you can practice and in your daily life. Let's say if you have tanha to play video games, maybe which may end up as a compulsive habit, which we all know very destructive for us. You can replace this tanha with far better tanha, such as maybe playing cricket, at least that is good for your health, or maybe play badminton or basketball, or maybe reading a book, or have tanha to score better result in a school examination. This is also tanha, but this is kind of, skillful tanha, we can call it. So you don't need to stop tanha, but you can replace bad or more destructive tanha with a good or more constructive tanha. That means you are using tanha skillfully. So if you have a destructive tanha, such as playing video games, you don't need to stop it. If you try to stop it, you may end up with disappointment, because those video game companies, we know they know how to trigger your tanha. Instead, have more constructive tanha, such as become the, like maybe become the best cricket player in Australia. This is kind of, So dream about it, work for it, and do it. You can't be addicted to, cricket as it for video games, right? So I mean, this tanha might change in later, this goal. So let's say, sometime we have children, they sometimes get addicted to things like this, video games, or maybe high-tech technologies. Then this is something we can do. Instead of trying to stop it, we can introduce something better, something useful. So if you try to stop it without introducing them with a better goal, or with a better, we could call it tanha, the same thing, craving, but then we no need to fight with them. So if as youth, if we can understand it, we can use this in our life, rather than trying to fight with these kind of habits. If you try to fight with these kind of habits, you will get disappointed when you can't stop it. But if you have another goal, far better tanha, then rather than trying to stop something, you have something, to do without paying so much attention to stop that habit. So this is a way, a skillful way to use the same thing, tanha. So we think we make decisions in our life, but if you look closely, you will see that mostly the decisions comes as a result of tanha. Most of our decisions are the outcome of tanha. Let's say when cat sees the mouse, it can't help but chase the mouse behind. So do you think the cat has a choice here? No, right? Mostly not. So the same thing for us. We need to understand, especially these kind of addictions, if you do not look at them closely, if we do not understand them, these addictions tanha is kind of addiction basically. It starts with something very, very subtle. We start to doing something, let's say playing a game. At the beginning we do not need it, it's not compulsive. But then you play again and again, it's become something compulsive. So the same thing, let's say you play with your maybe the phone, these high-tech things, or social media. So you start with something initially, maybe something very simple, but it slowly grow up. Sometimes when you recognize that you are get addicted, maybe it is very difficult. So this is something we need to understand. If we understand it, as I mentioned before, you can use it, the same craving, same tanha, same thing, but we can use it, as I said, skillfully. So so this is, as I said for cats, this is same for us also. Like for video games, when we see the best video game, we can't help but play it. So that is how these companies, they make it. So they know how to trigger our craving or tanha. So if you see this impulsive nature operates in yourself, you can choose not to follow it also. How can you stop following it? That is something you can practice. For that, you can associate something which does not trigger tanha in yourself. Breath usually does not trigger tanha, right? Let's say you pay attention to your body, you close your eyes, you pay attention to your body, then you can feel your body. As long as you stay with the body, does it trigger tanha or any expectation? Expectation usually comes if you start to think about past or future. So as long as you stay with something like breath, this object does not trigger tanha. But if you, let's say, if you look at a computer game or something attractive, that can trigger tanha. So if you want to practice, not to follow this behavior, so what you have to do is, initially you have to choose something that does not trigger tanha. So when you focus your attention to breath, you are not thinking about the past or future. So it is not possible to have future expectations as long as you are aware of your breath. It is a state of no tanha. So, but of course you can't stay with it for a long time. The nature of mind is forget the breath, then you start to think maybe your mind goes to the past or future. So that is the usual behavior of the mind. So it wants to expect something. So what you can do is, after some time, you just recognize, oh, I am doing something which I am not supposed to do right now. I supposed to stay with breath. So once you recognize it, what you can do is, you can just stop thinking about past and future. You can bring the attention back to the breath. So when you practice like that, after some time, if you continue to practice like that, initially it will be bit tricky, bit difficult, but if you go through it, you will find that you are able to stay with the breath. So once you are able to sustain the attention with the breath, that is where the tanha cannot usually operate. But what happens, even if you manage to stay with the breath or maybe your body, you start to feel bored, because there is nothing you can achieve there. There is nothing new. It is the same experience again and again. So you want to stop it. You want to do something else. So this is again, if you recognize that tanha start to operate, this is how tanha works. It does not let you stay calm. It always pushes you to do something. Then when it operates, you can't take rest, basically. You have to do something, because you feel bored. If you know this is how it operates, then you can choose not to follow it. You feel bored, but you try to stay with it. Maybe initially it is difficult, but after some time, you will start to recognize some kind of peace there, some kind of calmness. That is where mind stops its usual habit. It stops following tanha. It does not want to go to the past or future. It starts to stay with the breath, where tanha does not operate. So this is something very simple that we all can practice. Once you practice this, once you are able to sustain your attention with the breath, then what happens is, you can recognize this, the nature of mind that always want to do something. Once you recognize it, when it triggers you in your daily life, you can decide whether you want to follow it or not, because you have already recognized it. You know how it works. Then when it comes in life, in daily activities, in your day-to-day experiences, it might comes like you want to, you have something far better goal, like studying or something like that. Then you again, there's another expectation come, like you want to play game or something, which that is not very helpful, but you can't stop sometime this trigger. So if you recognize this is, but if you do not recognize it, you think, I want to play game. But if you recognize it as a nature in your mind, then it is not you anymore. You can recognize it, something operates in yourself. Rather than identify it with it, you just recognize it something like, some kind of, habit or something like that. Then you can decide whether you want to follow or not. But if you do not recognize it, you think that is you make the choice. You identify with it. You don't even know that you start to follow it. You think you make the decision, but you are not. It is just, it's a nature in all human beings that it operates. So then you will have a choice, only after that. After you recognize it, then only you have a choice. But if you do not practice like this, mostly you will not have a choice but to follow it. So this is something I just want to introduce you today. This is something very simple, but if you recognize it and practice it, you can use it very skillfully, without fighting with your life, without fighting with your children or without fighting each other. You can recognize these kind of, behaviors in your mind. Then you can use it more skillfully. So I wish all of you understand these precious teachings of Buddha and apply these teachings in your life and have a better future. So Theruvan Saranai. So today we listen especially the Buddha's teachings, and we accumulated a lot of merits. So we can share these merits, especially with sentient beings and our departed relatives. So let's share merits. May all the living beings, including sentient beings and departed relatives, partake all the merits accumulated from the good deed we have done by listening to Dhamma. Let's chant the stanza together. Ittavata ca amhehi sambataṃ puñña sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata ca amhehi sambataṃ puñña sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. ittavataca amhehi sambetang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රැක්කන්තු ශාසනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රැක්කන්තු දේශනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රැක්කන්තු මම් පරං ඉදම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා කායේන වාචා චිත්තේන පමාදේන මයා කතං අච්චයං කමමේ බන්තේ භූරි පඤ්ඤ තථාගත කායේන වාචා චිත්තේන පමාදේන මයා කතං අච්චයං කමමේ ධම්ම සම්දිට්ඨික අකාලික කායේන වාචා චිත්තේන පමාදේන මයා කතං අච්චයං කමමේ සංඝ සුපටිපන්න අනුත්තර සාදු සාදු සාදු